Okay.
Hi, good morning. Happy Wednesday, everyone. Thank you for joining us here today. As usual, we are here every Wednesday at 10 a.m. Pacific time. Welcome to WellDoctors.us Live. Hello, Dr. Stephanie Ardrey. How are you?
I'm good. How are you, Dr. Andrea?
Doing well. It's nice here in Southern California today. So we are lucky, sunshine in the mid 70. It's a beautiful day.
Well, the sun is shining here, but the wind is still blowing a little bit. But I'm optimistic because they say we might get in the 70s and, we're getting close. My sweet spot's about 75 to 78. So
Right.
fingers
I like
crossed.
that range. Awesome.
Absolutely.
This past week, we have been getting a lot of inquiries about, we're in a tax season.
Oh, yeah.
So a lot of people are looking for ways to limit the tax or the tax mitigation strategy. And especially for high net worth individuals, they are looking for strategy that help to mitigate the tax or the tax gifts or estate planning process. So today we are talking about life strategy and how it works. So hopefully, we're giving you some information for high net worth individuals so that you have some information to talk to your estate tax planning process and incorporate that to help mitigate the taxes.
Absolutely. It's amazing how fast the year has continued to move. I can't believe that, first quarter, right, has already just
Right.
about come to a conclusion. And, after, that first quarter, it's like taxes, taxes, what do we have to do? Some people choose to file right away. Some people choose to file extensions, whichever choice you make. It's still about trying to figure out where you stand and what opportunities you have to mitigate particular resources. And so I think this is not only an exciting topic, but timely, timely for sure.
Yes, it is. For wealthy individuals, one of the biggest concern is transferring wealth to the next generation, and how to do it, how to mitigate that tax liability is very important. We every day we leverage, right? We leverage bank finance in order to increase our wealth and
Mm.
also to limit that tax write off a tax liability, and also to in, in- you know by leveraging, you have a lot of opportunity to grow that wealth over the course of 10, 15 years, and later on to able to pass that wealth to the next generation with the tax liability reduced down, or an income that you can generate for yourself for high net worth individuals. In the situation like that, do you think, like, for high net worth individuals, with the average net worth of 10 millions or more, do you think they would look out, ways to mitigate their taxes?
Oh,
Right.
absolutely. They're always looking at ways to mitigate their taxes. It's a real important reality that most people are okay with paying taxes, but they just don't want to overpay, right? So it's a
Right.
matter of making sure that you're paying. But, when you're talking about millions and millions of dollars, those amounts can amount to a high number that in some ways you can defer use for other things that you're passionate about. That's why a lot of times you have charity interest foundations that you allocate resources to. Um, Not against government, it's just that sometimes there's a lot of waste, and so you want your money to not only work for you, but work to make improvements in the ways that you'd like to see those improvements. So throughout your communities or throughout your particular interest and causes that you have a passion about, making sure that you're contributing in all of those ways.
Right. And we're talking about, when for high net worth individuals, the sunset law. Not a lot of people know about the sunset law that ending in the end of 2025 and beginning of 2026. So the gift tax or the estate tax are going to be increased from 40% to 45%. So that is a huge jump, and also the exemptions for the gift tax is also decreased. So
Well,
we're talking about half of that has been decreased, 12, 13 millions now to $5 million. So that is a huge cut for people that are planning for to pass down that next generational wealth. Yeah.
absolutely. And then you also have to factor in inflation. So that's really, by the time you factor in inflation, you factor in the decrease of the amount and the increase, that can be 10 to 15% of lost value, depending upon where you stand in those numbers. So that's a significant, when you're talking about, again, millions of dollars, you will notice those dollars being taxed and paying a higher tax rate for sure.
Right. There are banks, the life strategy for high net worth individuals that can utilize bank to fund their retirement or estate planning process. So there are 100% bank finance, and the ultra wealth or the high net worth utilize these strategies to incorporate into the tax planning, estate tax planning process, so that they can utilize 100% bank finance. The fund, let's say if you have a $10 million asset, you can add on 10 millions or more into your plan. And over the course of 10, 15 years, that amount can grow compound interest. And of course, the bank will take back the money and then also the interest, but you don't put anything out of pocket. And the only thing is, you may post collateral for that. But the beautiful thing is nothing is out of your pocket to contribute into the plan, just for the collateral. And oftentimes you can use your house, your real estate as a collateral to post for these kind of plan. And over the course of 10, 15 years, that compound, interest and potential gains can be substantial. And you can use that to pay for the estate tax or generational wealth transfer, and also to use that as an income even. So there are strategies like that are available, but not a lot of people are aware of. And we're not, and for individuals that making $100,000 or more, you can utilize bank as well to fund up to 70% of your plan to establish these kind of plan available that for retirement purpose. Um, we utilize leverage every single day, like buying a house, right? Buying
Yeah.
a nicer house. So you use the bank money to fund for that. So it's a great strategy. And if you want to learn more about it, you can drop us a comment or send us an email, and we can walk you through this process.
Actually, I was thinking that we should plan to host a webinar where we're able to go a little bit deeper. I think we should talk about that and kind of think about when it'd be great to do a little deeper dive in some of these topics, because I've noticed that there have been some great comments that we've received. And so people are definitely interested. And since we know that we have access to the resources, that would be a good gift to give our audience. So you guys stay tuned. We're going to plan a webinar where we go a little deeper in some of these topics, and you'll be invited to participate. But as you're saying, it's absolutely true. It's not only true with looking at how you leverage bank financing to build out the value of the policy, because remember, the name of the game is to allow your dollars to be put to work inside of your whole life policies, and by doing so, those dollars are able to have a benefit of compounding. And that's what you want, is you want to benefit from the compounding. And even just with the infinite banking strategies, it helps to not only be able to look at the timeline, when you're putting together, we keep referring to a whole life policy, but they're not all made the same.
Right.
So you must make sure that when you're dealing with your financial advisors and professionals, that they're putting together a policy that's able to incorporate and address your particular needs, and then that there are the appropriate riders. In many cases, it's important to make sure that you add a uh, paid up addition rider, which allows you to overfund the policy, increase the cash value and the death benefit, for example. Those kinds of additions in the rider really is how you frame or basically customize your policy for your particular needs. And the name of the game is, again, if you can leverage. I was explaining this to someone the other day because so many people are, wanting to put their expertise out there, which I think is great. And so someone was explaining to folks wanting to enter the real estate game how to take, their first purchase, put 3% down using one of the governmental programs available, and how to leverage that 3% down to buy a home, a single family residence, and then after they get that home all situated and stabilized, if you will, then turn around and do a HELOC, pulling out 70% of the value of the property and then using that 70% to invest in another home, right? And I said, all right, I love that idea, except that the difference between that idea and what I would propose is, instead of buying a single family, I would use that same strategy to finance 4 units, right? So I would do 3% down on 4 units. Four are better than one, right?
Right.
And, so I love the fact that a lot of these, younger folks, in their career are passing on knowledge. I think that it reminds me the importance of those of us who have, 30, 40 years of experience. We also have to pass on our knowledge too, because, I've controlled $1 billion portfolios, and you can get there, but it's easier to get there 4, 10 at a time as opposed to one at a time, just saying. So
Right.
understanding how it all works, but more importantly, being able to be your own bank. I mean, that's really what the whole infinite banking and using your whole life policy is about, is being able to become your own bank and leverage your own money and then pay yourself back an interest rate. So setting your kids and family up early. If you have children who are minors, this is a great time to begin to help them build that value so that when they are young adults, they're able to finance their own things like college, vehicles, and other things of that nature, their
Right.
purchases.
Getting married,
Yes,
buying a
yes,
car.
yes, all of those
Right.
things. Yeah.
Our daily lives, we often use financial leverage to acquire asset that we may not able to afford outright, like buying a nicer car, or a nicer house, and we only have limited amount to put down. Like you said, the 4 units, you need quite a bit of money to put down, or you utilize the 3% down. So there are ways to strategize that into your plan, and also utilizing life insurance policy, permanent life insurance policy, like index universal life, whole life. Those are policy that you can set up and max fund it, so that you able to accumulate compounding interest over the years, the course of 10, 15, 20 years. And down the road, you have substantial amount of money for retirement, supplemental retirement income. And also along the way, if you need to access that money, the money is there. That is if you structure the policy correctly. That way you can access the right amount of money that you need for whatever the reason that is, coming up, getting married, having a wedding, going on a vacation, where you need to access the money at any point in your time, your timeline, and you're able to take that from the policy. And what the beautiful thing is that you the money that you have in your policy continues to earn interest uninterrupted, as if you're never taking it out. So that's a beautiful thing about this policy. And also the tax-free retirement income, living benefits that we always talking about. Living benefits is so important to have those benefits, because untimely death, we don't know when we're gonna leave this earth or kick the bucket, right?
I just returned from San Francisco from attending a funeral yesterday, and that's exactly, part of the commentary is that the shock of people saying, "Wait a minute, I just spoke to, our friend. I just talked to him a few days ago, and then, he had a heart attack." So a sudden event, and he perished. And so, things of that nature happen all the time, and so it is just so important to plan. We don't know when an unfortunate life event may happen, and so we just want to have
Right.
our household and our affairs in order. But more importantly, what I keep hearing about are people that are facing chronic conditions,
Chronic
and
condition is
those
big. Yes.
chronic conditions seem to be growing tremendously. And if you have a newer policy, often they offer a living benefit. And if it is, they allow you to accelerate access to the resources if it is that you have a chronic condition and you need to look at alternative treatment options, because not all of the options that maybe you want to explore are offered through your traditional health plan. And that's kind of what we're beginning to see, is people becoming more and more aware that there are treatment protocols that might go beyond what are offered in their medical plan. And so they want to
Right.
have the opportunity to explore those treatment protocols as well.
Right. I mean, the living benefits is so important because it covers a lot of like the chronic condition that you were talking about, the chronic illness, terminal illness, and critical illness, especially terminal illness. I was just reading the news the other day. Princess
Hmm.
Kate got
Hmm.
diagnosed with cancer,
Hmm.
right, at age 42. I'm not sure she's 42, 43, but so young,
So
right?
yeah.
So young. I mean, I'm sure she's well taken care of, but cancer, I mean, it could hit anyone, doesn't matter you poor or rich.
Mhm.
We got to plan in advance. We have to have some kind of plan in place in case of those things happen. We are covered and our family is protected. And with one big medical illness, that could drain your life saving. Even if you have a house, cars, 401k, millions dollar in 401k, but you don't want to, you don't want to access that money because of a medical illness. So you want to plan that in advance so that there is certain fund that allocated to that in case of emergency or a medical illness that you unexpected that came. Um, right.
It's so
So
true. It's so true. And it's so funny you mentioned uh I guess Duchess is what they refer to her, Duchess Kate. Anyway, in her situation, what was really interesting is between her and King Charles, he too had, been diagnosed with a prognosis as well, but he opted to use herbal and other type of
mm,
treatment protocols. So that's an exact example of what I'm talking about. But of course, they have access to the options, but he said he wasn't going to do chemo and radiation while she's opting to do, it looks like, a chemo and radiation plan. And that's the perfect example of what I'm saying, and that sometimes there are alternative treatment protocols that you may or may not be able to access through your traditional medical plan. And so it's so important to have the resources to make a decision that's best for you in your course of recovery.
exactly. And a lot of people think that if they have health insurance, that should be good to cover everything. But in reality, it's only to certain things. Like, if you may have a high copay, certain medication are not covered entirely under the plan, so that you would have to have extra resources and extra fund to pay for additional treatments needed. Or if you explore alternative treatment options, you have the ability to do so when you have the fund available. So it's, long term planning is important. And also to have that fund available when you need most is very important. And leverage bank retirement income, potentially you can earn 60 to 100% more than the traditional plan exists. So not a lot of people know about premium bank finance retirement. And that is a great strategy for individuals that making at least 100,000 or more, and also for wealthy individuals, ultra wealthy individuals, leverage 100% bank finance for estate planning process and also to generate more income, for your, add on more wealth to yourself, right?
Yeah, and it's interesting because I was just thinking about this is that several people have begun to retire as well. And with their retirements, they're receiving, in some cases, lump sum amounts of money. Or many of the corporations that have been downsizing, oftentimes there is a severance package. And so you end up with a lump sum. And it seems that the natural inclination is to put it in a bank. You're losing money every day that your money
Inflation.
is sitting in the bank based upon inflation. If you're not making more than 3 to 5% on your money, you're losing value. You must move that money someplace where you can earn a return on the money. And a lot of times people don't think about this. And I realize how often it seems like it's the basic, what we would say, these are rudimentary things, but it's not. Everybody is not aware of how to really plan for wealth, because a lot of times people think, well, I'm not wealthy or whatever. It's like, but believe it or not, if you look at the amount of money over the course of your working career or over your lifetime that touches your hands, that you have an opportunity to leverage, you could be the millionaire next door. It's all about how you capture and allocate the resources that you have. That's the difference. That's the big difference.
Right. And utilizing, help from professionals, financial professionals or financial advisor, utilize their knowledge and to grow your wealth, because they have strategies, unconventional strategies that can help you grow that money, and incorporate that into your family planning process. So instead of allocate all your money, no, we don't want to put our eggs in one basket. Exactly, right? I mean, you may have stocks to play with, bonds, mutual funds, crypto. People are doing crypto too, but allocate a portion of that into your life insurance policy or permanent life insurance policy, and capture the bank premium financing part, that to potentially grow your money, and get more returns in the long run, and also incorporate that into the estate planning process to reduce the tax liability and the gift tax, right?
Yeah, it's so important. It really does change, the reality. It's obviously it's always an emotionally charged experience to be at someone's funeral. You have a lot of mixed and emotions, right? But it's much better if the family that's left behind is not also left with a major financial burden as it relates to your life, right? So if you've prepared, for your when you transition, um, it eases some of the emotional trauma that family experiences. It's difficult to be, emotionally caught up in losing a loved one, but also at the same time having to scramble for resources to plan a funeral, take care of all of those things. And then, like you said, are there any assets that are being transferred or were not properly transferred? Are there taxes that the heirs are going to have to address? Is there a probate and all of these other things that you don't really want to think about, but they become part of the process, right? So I think it's important to use some foresight.
Exactly. I mean, to generate, we're talking about income replacement too. When anything that happened to you, you pass away, or you no longer can work, getting very, very sick, that you no longer can work. Is there an income source that replace that, help to take care of your family,
Mhm.
bills, mortgage, all kind of liabilities that you have to take care, even though you're sick and you're no longer able to work. Now, ensure there is an income source for that, and there is a way that you can set up to have that income replacement. And chronic illness, critical illness. we're talking about chronic illness, that things that you cannot take care of yourself, basic like eating, toileting, transferring. Those are the things that important that you have to hire someone to help you out. And where is the money coming from to help you out? Now, if you are the breadwinner of your family, you have a wife, a kid, um, so ensure to have that money source to fund for your um, you know, uh, educational needs for your kids, and also daily living expenses, and also the long-term cares that you need every day. So it's important that you have this set up in advance. Talk to someone, financial professional that help you to set up these kind of plan, and have it in place so that you can achieve a peace of mind. And also, oftentimes we're just so busy working, right? We accumulate wealth, but we don't know how to protect it or how to grow
That's
that wealth. Yeah.
Exactly. That is the part. That is the part that tends to be often the reality, is that you don't realize that you're accumulating because you're so busy working. It's the same idea when you're in business. Oftentimes, you really have to straddle the fence between working in the business and working on the business, right? Which is really more of a very strategic perspective, stepping back and looking at the business, from a 50,000-foot view, and recognize how it operates within not only its micro, but in its macro environment. What's the same thing about our families, our households, thinking about our careers and our existence. Yeah, we have a family, but how do we exist within a community? What does that mean in terms of our contribution? Sometimes you forget how valuable your contribution is, and how many people are either directly or indirectly benefiting or depending upon your energy and what it is you're providing, to the ecosystem. And so it's just important to think about those things. And I know it seems, it's kind of doom and gloom, but it's not. One thing that we know a few things. We know we have to pay taxes, and we know that pretty much at some point we're going to die. So those
Yeah.
things seem to
Taxes and
be
debt, guaranteed,
taxes and
right?
debt. Those,
Guaranteed.
those are two constants that are realities, right? So instead of putting the head in the sand, thinking about how and what and ways, and then there's other people that I think the pendulum has swung to the other end, where they're so afraid to, or they're so unaware that uh, strategies to mitigate your requirements of, what amount is allocated towards these kind of tax and liabilities, and so they overpay.
Right. And
And when overpaying, it's not like you're getting any additional benefits by overpaying. You're just overpaying,
right.
when you could really be utilizing some of those dollars to benefit other interests or other desires.
Yes, I mean it's important that you pay attention to those kind of strategies that help you to accumulate wealth over the years. So the Tax Cuts Jobs Act is short for TCJA. Provision is currently scheduled to be expired by the end of 2025. So with the inflation and everything adjusted, that amount of estate tax gift the exemption is going to be expired. So it's important for wealthy individuals or ultra wealthy to incorporate that into the estate planning process, so that you can review the estate planning and also start planning right now, before 2026 hit, that when the provisional is going to be expires, or the sunset law that we're talking about that going to be expires. The is talk to your financial professionals, right, and have them incorporate a plan. And if you don't know, you don't have one, reach out to us. We can guide you through this whole process.
Absolutely. Well, it happens every time we get into a great topic, a great conversation, and before you know it, we're at the top of our time. So before I forget, I meant to say to you earlier, your skin is glowing over there, Missy. What are you doing? Your face looks fabulous.
Well, thank you so much. Thanks for asking. I have been using this new Korean #1 skincare product, and I have been getting a lot of compliments in the past months. How my skins are glowing and smooth and fine lines reduced. So I'm really, really happy with the result that I'm getting personally, and I introduced it to my friends, and they love it. So
Oh,
they all
fantastic.
have good result as well. Yeah.
Oh, so we definitely need to get the tea on that particular skincare line. So maybe during our next episode, we'll make sure that we share some more details and information because, yes, you were glowing.
It is a great acne treatment as well. For teenagers that going through that growing hormonal change, and it's affect your skin, and acne's showing up on the face where you don't want it to be. So it helps to eliminate those acnes and scars. So it's a wonderful product. Ingredients are incorporated into the products are natural ingredients. So that's what I love about, with my background as the pharmacy doctor. So I fully research the product to make sure that it is safe and effective, and also for long-term use it's important to achieve the result, and also it's not harmful.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Excellent, excellent. Well, I'm sure we have way more to discuss. So you guys need to come back, tune in Wednesday, 10 a.m. Pacific time. You can find us wealthdoctors.us here. And if it is that you have questions, feel free to email us at info at wealthdoctors.us. And we'll be happy to answer any questions that you have. We want you guys to have a great, great rest of your day and rest of your week. Come back and join us again next week.
Thank you.
All right. See you soon.